Are you happy with the decals you're putting on your miniature? Hello everyone, and welcome back to another Heroforge video. My name is BigBear. I'm a Heroforge content creator and wannabe streamer. As someone who has struggled a lot with the decal system, I wanted to share some techniques that I've learned to help improve your miniatures. The decal system used to be a weird place for me. It's not that I thought it was bad, it just wasn't great. Nothing yelled, "use me," unless trying to create the obvious blood splatter. But over time, I learned the implementation of decals in the proper way, and they act more like the final touching strokes to a painter's canvas. And today, I want to share 5 easy to implement tips that will boost the look of your miniatures. If you like any of these tips, or have any additional suggestions that you use, let me know below and consider subscribing for more Heroforge content. The first tip, and one of my favorites, is using decals to create a snow effect on your miniature's legs. For this, I would advise using any of the tri-color powder sprays / splatters. Try avoiding any that look like an actual blood splatter. For me, what I like to use is the asymmetrical multicolor powder splatter. Very simple, very easy, and you get to work with a range of different whites, at least in this scenario when it comes to the splatter. So when clicking on it, it's going to just default to his body. We're going to want to move it down all the way to his legs. So play with this how you would like. I'm just going to simply put it down here, maybe scale it up a little bit, rotate it because I really want it to be hitting both his feet here. Right, now that we've got the decal in place, it looks like the snow has hit both of his feet as if he's been walking through it, and it's also kicked up a little bit on his front and dashing off his back. That's perfectly alright because we are in a snowy environment, it's going to be going everywhere. Let's head over to our paints. Now what I would do is actually go to my mix because I've already got a few different ranges of metals that I've used for this individual. So what I would do sometimes is copy one of these, which we have the grey that never comes out for this instance, and I would just change the highlights, the lowlights, just give them a bit of a whiter tint. In the scenario I've done here, I've actually chosen the light wish metal, and from there I've just modified it as such with a dark low, a mid-tone in the whites, and a high in the lower greys, or the higher greys. Roughness, fuzz looks like this, opacity looks like this. I don't have anything for the glow, and I don't have anything for the metal as well. You can change this if you see fit, but at the moment that is what I've got. Now placing this, I've actually initially placed this on the floor here, so when I place it up, you see that move just up, and it's sort of fadey as well, sort of got that brush tonality to it, which sort of gives that nice snow effect as if he's been walking. Now what you can also do is play around with the colors of the metal that you have on your legs in conjunction with the metal that you're using here. Again, if you're using wood as the feet for any boots or straps, leathers, I would advise using those materials and then also just giving them that extra snow effect, because you kind of do want to keep the texture on your miniature. You just want to slightly change the color to adhere to the environment. You don't want the snow to be a completely different texture, but I would advise still using the splatter because it does give that brushed look. And then you can also apply this to the upper body as well. You can make this bigger or smaller depending on how impacted an individual is by the environment, but this is just a cool little tip to have just to create that extra dimension for your character. It also gives a bit of a backstory as what they may have just been doing or where they are predominantly from. In this case, the snow guard is in the middle of the snow. That makes sense, it's just how it is, and it gives that little enhancement that bolsters it. Without the decals, I'll show you what it looks like if we push back and get rid of it. Now, he still looks great, but he still looks a little bit bland. So having that extra decal texture really just brought it out. So if we go back and implement it, it's the smallest change, but it makes the biggest difference. Tip number 2 really highlights the painter's final stroke remark I had made earlier, because it focuses on adding marks and impurities to your miniature's face. Psychology lesson, did you know when meeting people we often look at their shoes first and make our way up to their face? Your miniature's face is often going to be a big focus point. Most emotion and characteristics derive from the face. Adding and texturing marks on the face can show a character's age, experience, mistakes, or birth defects. There is a lot you can take away from the details you add. Most importantly, it makes the character feel more real. My top suggestions are Roan for a classic sun-kissed forehead, and any of the stubbles or eye makeup where appropriate. Remember, you can layer decals. I use this layering to display scars at different ages, faded for old, and more in colour for those new. Depending on the race, you can really go wild. The examples I've provided are classically for a more humanoid figure, but the same detailing tricks can work throughout all selectable races. For example, I've showcased Barbados a few times on the channel. I've coupled several decal textures to help me really gain a good earth genasi stone-like skin. Next, we have a quick look at how to create a mask, or at least how I did, and this will be from the nose up. It's worth noting that this will look optimal if the mini is also wearing any type of headgear. From here, we've just selected a few decals, the rings around the eyes, gone through layer A and B, done the same one, and just mirrored them. Then through C and D, we've just created a base that goes down to the nose, and then we've also created a shadow that will go over the eyes. This is one of the eyeshadow options. Right now, I'm just painting it a color of choice, and then making the eyeshadow area a little bit darker. Now I'm moving into the eyes. I'm actually giving it the skull, or at least the teeth bone sort of look. Looks like I missed the ear, so I fixed that one up. And then I've just put that through the eyes and then highlighted the eyes. Now, headbands, hats work perfectly. I, of course, went for a hood. It really is one of those small details you can add to your miniatures, but it does make a world of difference, and it looks really cool. Now, lastly is an interesting one. Let me know if you've done this before, because I have not seen anyone anywhere advertise that they have done this. And that's using decals as your base skin layer. Now, hold up, I can explain. By using an overbody decal, expanding the size, and then coloring it your base layer, you can create some interesting and amazing patterns on the body. Just remember that the unique shapes that the full body decals create can also be used to create new shapes with the base layer the model has. So instead of the decals representing the scars or skin deformities, you can now use the base layer that the model comes with to create new and unique colorations. So that was 5 decal tips to improve your Heroforge miniatures. What decals will you be using on your next miniature? If you have any more suggestions, consider educating me in the comment section below. If you like this video, consider checking out my channel for more Heroforge tips. No pressure, just do it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.